Greetings cinephiles! I'm very happy to be back from a few months of studies. Welcome to the FILMSTRIP channel, on which I discover for you the list of 152 masterpieces of cinema according to the critics firm Mediafilm. To explore Mediafilm, check out the links I put in the description. For the other videos of the series, you can find them on the channel's page, and also subscribe to get notifications. Today we are back to the US. Directed in 1924 by Erich von Stroheim, we discover Greed. The story of Greed is very long, and with the various existing versions, I shall focus on the main plot. Greed tells the story of McTeague, who has learned the job of dentist. One day, his friend Marcus brings him a new patient, his friend/fiancée Trina. But McTeague falls in love with her, and they eventually get married, with the blessing of Marcus. When Trina wins $5,000 at the lottery, Marcus suddenly regrets letting her go. Trina quickly becomes greedy of her new money. Marcus reports McTeague, who practices his job without proper papers. The involuntary unemployment which results from it makes Trina furious. The couple falls apart. McTeague has enough and leaves her. He returns later to steal her money. An altercation follows, during which he kills the young woman. The police and Marcus pursue McTeague to Death Valley. The rivals fight and find themselves chained to one another. McTeague kills Marcus and is condemned to die of thirst, watching his stolen wealth. Erich von Stroheim, born in Vienna in a middle-class Jewish family, emigrates to the United States in 1909, passing himself for an important Austrian count. He begins to work in Hollywood 5 years later and quickly gains respect by working beside the greats of the industry such as D.W. Griffith. In 1916, he finds Frank Norris's novel McTeague. He undertakes to develop an adaptation, the shooting of which begins finally in 1923. When he leaves the Universal to sign a contract with Goldwyn, Stroheim already had the reputation of doing whatever he wanted for his projects, keeping at all costs complete control over his movies. He did get warned, but of course he did not care, and his collaborators knew him well. For Greed, he required to adapt the totality of the book. He even would have made 2 movies if necessary. But when the Goldwyn Company was bought in the middle of production and became MGM, the new studio heads hired an editor who had the task to shrink the duration of the film to a minimum. I'll come back to it. The documentation available about the production gives a good idea of what the complete movie could have been. The scale of the project demonstrates the determination which characterized von Stroheim, who worked relentlessly on the script to the point that he fell ill. Stroheim wanted at all costs to remain faithful to the novel. He required to shoot at the locations mentioned in the original work, but the Great Earthquake of San Francisco made the task difficult as several neighborhoods had been destroyed. He required to shoot in natural settings, completely outside the studios and also without special effects, which was completely contrary to the standards of the industry. He even refused to shoot in the usual Hollywood desert of Oxnard. He required Death Valley, where the end of the story takes place. The anti-star system mentality of Stroheim was confirmed. No star would have wanted to play such despicable characters in any case. He wanted actors that fit perfectly to the description of the characters given in Norris's book. So by looking for little-known or less experimented actors, they were more easily able to keep a natural expression. The shooting in Death Valley lasted 37 days under a dangerous sun and in such an oppressive heat that it prevented all the crew from sleeping at night, and that the paint on the cars was dripping. 14 crew members became sick. 1 died. For another sequence, Stroheim insisted on pointlessly shooting at the bottom of a mine, just to make the actors really feel the experience. To obtain from them a sincere and realistic interpretation, he did not direct them, he tortured them. The best example is for the climactic sequence when he forced them to crawl for hours under the sun on the stones and the burning sand of Death Valley, injuring and tiring them and infecting their wounds. Stroheim just shouted, "Fight! Fight! Try to hate each other as you both hate me." He kept the actors with him 24 hours a day, forcing them to stay in character. He was dedicated to the project so much that the shooting lasted 7 months, 3 times what had been allocated, which prevented him from directing 2 other projects planned in his contract the same year. So he had to make most of Greed without being paid. At the release of the movie, the press responded negatively and Greed made around a third of its budget. Becoming a high risk for the studio, Stroheim directed very few movies after this commercial failure, and soon became recognized for his acting talent. The shooting of the film is as famous as the movie itself. The first version of the movie lasted 47 reels, which is approximately 8 hours. Stroheim hated all those who contributed to butcher his movie up to the version sent to the theaters, which finally ran for 10 reels, 5 times less than the original version. Rumors want that complete versions exist somewhere, we can always dream. Although a subplot with stereotyped characters such as Zirkov, the Jew thirsty for money, and Maria, the Mexican cleaning lady, was omitted in the short version, it's horrible for film history to have lost so much material. One of the subplots that were cut out was afterward re-edited to make the short film the sweetest story in the world, which completely disappeared since. Going against the Hollywood entertainment, Stroheim attacks the obsession over money, the god of the United States. He warns against that wealth desired by gold diggers and prospectors. Gold, greed, lead to the loss of everything. The film also was for him a golden opportunity, pun intended, to tackle the subject of indifference toward victims of poverty, in which he recognized his own real-life experience upon his arrival in the country. It is ironic that the movie in its complete version is today one of the most appreciated movies, even though only a handful of people were able to see it in its entirety. Film historians struggled to reconstruct what the movie could have been, and the most complete version available today was rebuilt thanks to photograms and production stills, assembled with the rest of the movie, resulting in a version of about 4 hours. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you liked it. Do not hesitate to leave your comments in the section below. Click the like button if you did like it, and subscribe to the channel to be up to date with all the videos. Follow the Facebook page, and you can also contribute on Patreon. I will be back for the 9th film on the list of masterpieces according to Mediafilm. Like, subscribe, and share. I'm René for FILMSTRIP. For our next movie, we return to comedy with Buster Keaton's Sherlock Jr.